and they've made some allegations that today will be seeking clarity and accountability too. Let's go over Zoom because we are very happy to have Sammi Awuku, who is actually a member of parliament with Akuapem North and also the former Director General of the National Lottery Authority, join us. Sammi, many thanks for your time. A very good morning to you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Fantastic. We're very happy that you agreed to grant us this interview.
Sammi, I have no choice at all. Yeah.
Great.
Especially when the station is on the earth, Asaase.
Right. That gladdens our hearts. I want us to begin with some education here.
Pardon me that I have to join you in the car via Zoom because we have parliamentary committee on public administration and state interest also sitting today. So I needed to chew gum and walk at the same time by multitasking.
Right. We couldn't have
in the car and speaking to you as well. So I can get to my destination and still honor my obligation to Asaase Radio.
Thank you very much for making time to have this conversation with us. We couldn't have had it any other way. I want us to begin with some education because Fourth Estate, for instance, mentioned that the good causes that was established by the National Lottery Authority and was meant to cater for the needy, the less privileged, the physically challenged, that money that is meant for them is actually being diverted to glamorous enterprises. From where you sit, and it was under your tenure as former Director General, and that the Good Causes Foundation was established. What is the mandate? What does the law say about the Good Causes Foundation, and what is their core mandate?
Okay, thank you very much. And then a very good morning to your cherished viewers and listeners today. It will be better if I give you some brief background to this Good Causes Foundation so that listeners and viewers can have a better understanding. When I became Director General of NLA and assumed office on the 9th of August 2021, NLA did not have what we call the Good Causes Foundation. It was not existent. What the NLA had was a special project department. So basically, that special projects department was what the NLA was using as a vehicle to prosecute corporate social responsibility. That said, I became Director General at a time when the National Lottery Authority had been booted out of the African Lotteries Association. So I undertook some few trips to Ivory Coast, Abidjan, where I sat down with the Director General there, who also doubled as the President of the African Lotteries Association. I reconnected the NLA to the African Lotteries Association. But whilst there, something struck me. I realized that the Ivorians had been able to touch lives in almost every regional district of their country through their lottery. When I inquired, I was then educated in school that as part of the conduct of lottery, they have a foundation called the Good Causes Foundation that they also channel resources through to support the poor communities and also for social impact programs. I asked them if there is a way that the NLA can learn from their experience. The Ivorians very much obliged and accepted the NLA to come and understudy. I was doing two things at the same time. I had become Director General at a time that there were mounting debts. The NLA was indebted to over 17 million to winners of lottery that they had 17 million cedis worth of wins that they had not paid to people who had won lottery. Again, there were staff agitations before I became Director General. Their welfare issues and related matters. The image of the NLA was at an all-time low and had dipped in the eyes of the public. Their credibility had been battered and illegal operations was on its ascendancy. So that said, the Ivorians also, through my intervention, wiped off the debt that the NLA owed to the African Lotteries Association because the NLA had been booted out for non-compliance and again for non-subscription and not being in good standing. So when they wrote off our debt. We began on a new slate. They took me in as a friend and a brother. And then I also took my team there to understudy what they have as good causes. So I was then led by my director legal, together with the general manager legal. And then last but not the least, the woman who then later became the coordinator for the Good Causes Foundation. Fast forward, after understudying somewhere in September, I then reported to the board because the board then had been sworn in. I came in August, but as quickly as possible, I needed to figure out, what we had to do to get out of the situation that we found ourselves in. That said, the Ivorians were also very helpful. They then provided the NLA with all the technical know-how. We also got a local consultants to help shepherd the process locally. And we go through with this for the foundation to now be fully set up. This foundation was launched on I think 20th of October or so, 2021. 20th of October, 2021. But here is the trick. The Act 722, Section 23. Section 23 of the National Lotto Act 722. Section 23 says that as part of the conduct of lottery, the NLA must also establish this special lotto with the aim of using the proceeds for the physically and mentally afflicted, for the destitute, and also for the aged, the orphans and widows. That is the Section 23. And the NLA may, in consultation with the Minister for Finance, establish this special lotto. So, for the NLA to be able to even support these categories of people, the NLA must establish that special lotto. This special lotto had then been established in 2012, way before I went there, and it is called the Caritas Lottery Platform. So the Caritas Lottery Platform had then been in existence since 2012. When I became Director General, the Caritas Lottery Platform was almost zero. There was something in the account. There had been 4 years of inactivity, and corporate Ghana had deserted the NLA's platform, and so they had nothing in it. You cannot also perform these good causes when that very vehicle that must fuel that foundation, that vehicle is empty and there's no fuel in it for it to travel, for it to even perform these good causes. So I figured a way out. When we were launching the Good Causes Foundation, we then tied it in to relaunch the Caritas Lottery Platform. So the Caritas Lottery Platform was relaunched, and the Good Causes Foundation launched on the same day and the same evening. Why relaunching? We relaunched it to rebrand it to now appeal to corporate Ghana. I then sourced for some staff from the different departments to form the Caritas team at the NLA. It's under the marketing department. Sharp young ladies and young men who could pitch to corporate Ghana and then make sure they bring in business. So when the Caritas was relaunched, I also realized that the NLA was charging very high fees. And it's one of the reasons why corporate Ghana were even not interested in doing business with the NLA. We needed to lower our fees and charges. We needed to also be aggressive in the market because the market dominance had waned and we had zero. Because the 100,000 cities that we even had, yesterday, my understanding from my colleagues back at the NLA tells me that it was the night of the relaunch, and it was after the relaunch that we even had that 100,000 cities in the coffers. So basically, it was zero accounts when I became Director General. When we relaunched the Caritas, we pitched and rebranded it to corporate Ghana that do business with the NLA. It is a secured platform, and the NLA would then interface between you and the public. What is Caritas platform? Caritas platform is the corporate Ghana's platform interface with the NLA. Let's say Asaase Radio wants to reward its listening public and customers and listeners. And then Asaase Radio would like to put on a small vehicle for the winner. How would the public know that the process is fair, free, and transparent? There must be a referee and a third party. And that referee and third party is the National Lottery Authority. And it is our platform that then the public will have the confidence to participate in whatever scheme, point-based game or game of chance that they elect a winner. So we from pitch to corporate Ghana, liaised with solid brands, even like Asaase Radio, because you had this initiative. I think you were supporting. Is it kidney? Because you were in.
Yes, we are in dialysis.
The NLA even as part dialysis. The NLA even sponsored with a token, so that we can be associated with the Asaase Radio brand. And whilst we are acknowledging your sponsors and all, we will be mentioned because you were also pitching to corporate Ghana and individuals to also support what you're doing. So this and bits and pieces, we were then pitching to captains of industry. You won't find captains of industry on the streets just like that. They congregate at certain events, and lottery is a big boys game. So my marketing department realized that on the marketing calendar, some events that the NLA could participate in, chip in or sponsor the program for us to get returns on our investment. One of them included the Emmy Africa Awards. One also included that of Ghana CEO Summit. Another one was also Ghana Club 100, hosted by GIPC, and some few others. With this and the African Prosperity Dialogue Network.
Right.
So with these events, the NLA set on to at least sponsor parts of the program or a token so that we can be mentioned, we can get the opportunity to exhibit our product to corporate Ghana.
Right.
I am happy to inform you.
Right.
I'm happy to inform you that with this strategy, within a year, the zero account had then recorded 1.5 million cedis. The second year, it moved to over 3 million. It kept moving till I left and was like 6 million. In fact, by the time I was leaving NLA, I moved that zero account in the Caritas platform to 11 million cedis that they was able to generate because of this strategy. So this was the foundation of how the good causes could be funded. In fact, not just through the Caritas, but also through NLA's allocation of funds. So if you do not get the understanding of the nuances and the fact that the Caritas on its own at that time was empty, for you to be able to embark on good causes, so that people can know your product, do business with you for you to regain the market dominance. Today, the target set by the NLA for the marketing team for the Caritas, we are not even in October, but they've exceeded the target. Why? Because now the brand has become solid and strong. That you don't even need to even sponsor programs for sponsoring sake, but now you've been able to stabilize and regain your market dominance. Right. So I was telling these fourth estate people that don't see any payment coming out of NLA as a waste. And don't see any payment coming out of the NLA when you don't understand as glamorous expenditure. Me, I never attended quite a good number of these programs, but my marketing team will attend, showcase, and also even on platforms demonstrate. I'll give you an example. At one of the Ghana CEO Summits, I think in 2023 or so, 2023 or 2024, the NLA used random number generator to do a live draw inside the auditorium where the event happened, and it was live for corporate Ghana, and people won even mobile phones. The mobile phones, the NLA did not even buy them. The mobile phones was also a donation from one of our partners. But corporate Ghana could see that it was real, and then they got on board. The same way we partnered with Asaase Radio, we partnered with City Heritage Caravan. With this, they were touring Ghana with corporate Ghana. And what that did for us, as a matter of fact, too, was that whilst my team were on board this trip around the country, they were also marketing to corporate Ghana. When they returned, they had regained 4 new entities who are now doing business with the NLA's Caritas platform. If we had not partnered City to even get free adverts and get on board, you wouldn't have gained what you were seeking to. So, and apart from all these few expenditures that they turn glamorous, what I find very strange is that the fourth estate did not acknowledge one social impact program that the NLA had embarked upon, when we had embarked upon hundreds of these to touch millions of lives, from the provision of potable water to renovation of hospitals and chips and compound and health facilities, to schools and the setting up, the building and refurbishment of schools, to brilliant but needy student scholarships, to medical outreach in various regions and across the district and across. So I keep saying that we have absolutely no problem if you believe that some of the decisions you would have done differently if Fourth Estate happy to have been the managers of the NLA at that time. But acknowledge the fact that the Good Causes Foundation had also done some good work in other areas. That lopsided journalism was what we sought to cure in my rebuttal. And then just before you come in,
Mr. Awuku, let me just come in before you box on with your points. I mean, the Good Causes Foundation was set out for specific reasons, and the law that establishes the foundation says that there shall be conducted as part of the operation of the National Lotto a lottery with the object of providing care and protection for the physically or mentally afflicted, the needy, the aged, the orphans, and the destitute children. Don't you think it's a bit concerning that if there is an object, a specific object for this foundation to sponsor, then now the foundation tends to divert the money into sponsorship and marketing? Is that not a deviation? Is that not a deviation?
No, you have deviated. And I'll tell you why you have deviated. The Good Causes Foundation is not a lottery. And let me repeat, the Good Causes Foundation is not a lottery. What is the lottery is the Caritas lottery platform. So the Good Causes Foundation...
No, but that's what your act says over here.
Of
Mr. Awuku, I'm just quoting
so the act is telling you that they shall... No, so I'm explaining the act to you because I'm telling you is that the act, what the act mandated us to do was to set up a specialized lottery with the object of providing care. I hope you are getting it. So that specialized lottery is the Caritas lottery platform. The object is what is feeding the Good Causes Foundation to disburse. So the Caritas lottery does not disburse funds to people. It's the Good Causes Foundation that disburses funds and supports to people. If you do not get the distinction, we are going to miss the point again. So let me emphasize, the Good Causes Foundation is not a lottery, but the Caritas lottery platform is the lottery with the aim of providing the care, the care for the aged, the destitute, and all. But because
right, so we're having
checks and balances.
Okay, we lost you for a minute.
Account. Is it better?
Yeah, fantastic. Please go ahead.
Okay. So basically, the Good Causes Foundation spends on behalf of the Caritas. So Good Causes Foundation is not a lottery. So what you're reading in the Act was what my predecessors, going by the Act, established the Caritas lottery platform in 2012. But the sole object of it, the nexus, was that was not created. That when you provide that special lotto, what should be the end game?
Right.
So when I came in, then I linked that specialized lottery to the end game of the Good Causes Foundation to give full expression to Act 722, the Section 23 that you just read. Because it mentioning.
Now, again, many people worry.
It can be a bit tricky and technical, but that is why you need people to explain it to you, and that is why I've taken my time to do that. And I did same with your colleagues from the Fourth Estate. So I'm surprised that they still went ahead and still lumped them, because when you are sponsoring, for instance, there are some individuals, corporations, entities that we partner to undertake good causes. the Good Causes Foundation or the NLA partnered Asaase Radio. Asaase Radio is not an orphan. Asaase Radio is not destitute. It's not a mentally or physically afflicted person or entity. But Asaase Radio provided the NLA the platform to reach out to those in need. And those in need is our project in the dialysis mission that you intended to accomplish. There, for instance, brought a colleague to in the Pon Katamanso area. It was to mark the 10th anniversary of the passing of the late President Professor Mills. So, the Atamils Institute is not an orphan. It's not a destitute. It's not a physically or mentally afflicted entity.
Right.
But they partnered the NLA to bring relief to the people and the community there.
Now, Ms. Awuku, thank you so much. One of the questions that people are also raising, which I think is really significant, is how these beneficiaries are chosen. Like the festivals, the awards, or the causes you support. What is the criteria? Are there any guidelines that decisions are fair, they are transparent, and not based on who has the influence or visibility?
First of all, people come to the foundation every day with different proposals and requests. 99%, I don't know them, for the records. But when you bring in your application, it's either is submitted to the Good Causes Foundation office at the NLA, or it is submitted to the Director General's office. When I get any proposal, I mail it on it to the Good Causes Foundation to interrogate, verify the claims or request, and advise. So when they do that, then they come back to me that yes, this person is a brilliant but needy student, but does not have the means to continue with education. And so they advise that the NLA, as part of its pillars of, say, education, under the Good Causes 4 main pillars, can come in and support. That becomes one of the norm. Number two, you also will have sometimes even staff. They come face to face with some of the misery of people, because they also work at the NLA. They can also sometimes draw attention to some things that they believe can be a good cause for the NLA. Again, one time I was driving to work. I was listening to radio. I was flipping sometimes in between when, let's say, you guys go on break, then I'll flip to another channel. I did that one day, and then it turned out it was okay. The dial then went to another station. Let me be very open, Adom FM. Then they were also raising funds to support a brilliant but needy student called Sekina from Ashaiman,
right,
who wanted to continue her education, but the family had asked her not to because they don't have money. So they were raising funds to pay the fees. I called the Good Causes Foundation. I said, please listen to Adom FM and let's find out if we can help. I personally called into the station and I called the host then, one CJ Louise. And subsequently, the NLA also supported this lady. And last week, she sent the former coordinator a message that thanks to the NLA, she's been able to achieve her dream and she has completed school. So the information, the request come from board, from staff, from the teeming public, from media houses. It can come from anybody. The selection process, I would then manage it on to Good Causes. For Good Causes to be fair, transparent, and then come up with an advice. If you see the projects we've done across the country, and again, beginning of every year as well, beginning of every year, just a minute, just 30 seconds. Right. Beginning every year, the board also sometimes can set a target for the NLA to look at. For instance, 2023-2024, the board said we should dig boreholes and construct toilet facilities in several communities across the country. This was a decision of the board. So you may realize that a member of parliament will bring a request for, let's say, a toilet facility to be built or a borehole dug for his people. The member of parliament is not destitute. It's not a physically or mentally afflicted. But the member of parliament, you are channeling the good causes through that member of parliament's lives. So this was how we operated with the good causes.
Right, Mr. Awuku, I want us to refer to the law again that establishes the Good Causes Foundation.
No, the law you are reading does not establish the Good Causes Foundation. The law you are reading establishes that special lotto and tells you what that lotto, when established, should be channeled to do.
Okay,
and the Good Causes Foundation was established by the board. And it's also in consonance with international best practices of the World Lottery Association and the African Lotteries Association.
Granted, it turns out that the foundation spending seems to be high-profile events, and some of those high-profile events have been enumerated by the Fourth Estate. Now, do you agree
these high-profile events brought the NLA?
If I can just finish, Mr. Awuku, if I can just finish,
monies in returns,
right? If I can just finish, and some of these high profile, would you agree that the spending, if legal, can appear insensitive to the hospitals and the people who are, poorly funded?
Well, I disagree, and I'll tell you why. If I'll go for African Prosperity Dialogue, and I'm able to sponsor part of the program, and I get a platform to market to corporate Ghana. Now, at the end of the day, I'll get ×2 or more of what I spent on that. That is not a negative. That has enhanced my revenue for me to be able to help these same hospitals, the psychiatric hospitals, the destitute children, the brilliant but needy students. The reality is that you cannot spend what you don't have. Let's all understand it clearly. So if you sit down and say, I am not willing to go out and market this platform for people to come on board, where will you get the money to support the poor?
Right. I want to find out from you. You sponsored Emmy Awards, for instance, and you say that it's because of the advantage you get from these so-called high-profile events, which is why you pump your money into them. Can you tell me, in terms of specific, how much Emmy Awards, for instance, as a result of your sponsorship, has been able to bring to the fund?
So you see, you may not be able to take it one by one, but what then you get to see is that after some of these events, you have some institutions writing to NLA to be doing consumer promotions and asking the NLA they want to come on board the Caritas Lottery platform. So that is what happens. Because the same way people would have found it insensitive to have chipped in to Asaase Radio's dialysis mission that you embarked upon, the same way people will also find problems with even supporting other events. But when the brand association with Asaase Radio, what it did for us was that it projected the NLA's image and also endeared us to the people. We were also being sensitive. And again, we were also being compassionate as well.
Those are intangibles, abstract.
Pardon?
Those are intangibles.
But you can't quantify what a solid brand can bring you. And that is why today, after long gone from the NLA, today that brand is solid and they continue to make millions of money from that platform. If that platform is not enhanced, if the corporate image of the organization is in tatters, nobody will do business with you. And that is why when you are taking your kid to any institution, school, hospital, whatsoever, you look at the reviews. If you hear that every place there is a break-in, there's a this, you won't take your child there. But when the corporate image of the organization is enhanced and they call something top of mind awareness, is situated well in the mindsets of the people, they learn to do business with you.
Right.
Nobody will do business with an organization with a tattered image.
Well, we're speaking to the former Director General of the National Lottery Authority regarding the investigative piece that was done by the Fourth Estate. And Sammi is here to give us all the answers for the questions we have. Sammi, I want us to talk about auditing and the reports. Do we have any available audit reports that shows how much money comes for good causes, right? And exactly how it was spent item by item? Can the ordinary Ghanaian have access to this report?
The ordinary Ghanaian can have access to it when they apply. And if it suits the NLA under the Right to Information Act, they can. And the interesting thing is that the health of an organization can only be measured through its audited financial report. I'm happy to inform you. When I went to the NLA and 2021, they had made losses of 17 million cedis for that year. However, the NLA had paid 20 million into the consolidated fund. And I found that very strange that first you owe unpaid wins, people who have won your lottery, up to a tune of about 17 million. You decide not to pay them, but instead transfer money to the consolidated fund. Lottery is about the ability to pay when people win. It's psychological. So I, in discussion with board and management, said, look, let's stabilize this organization first. Then after 4-5 years, when they have been able to stabilize with their finances, we then contribute into the good cause, into the consolidated fund. Because even the act says that after you have paid your wins and overhead expenses, then you can pay into consolidated fund. Consolidated fund, you pay into this excess revenue over expenditure. So if you haven't been able to meet and cater for your expenditure, how then did you pay 20 million into the consolidated fund? I found it just to be eye service, really. Because if people who have won, you haven't paid, how would they go and play again for you to generate revenue? So I introduced several measures, including the prompt payment and all, so that when people win, you're able to liquidate their wins within 24 hours. Whilst the big win ticket, they go through that 14, 15 days period for us to be able to pay them. But when you have money seated in your account, and you haven't paid your liabilities, and you consider that all this money is for me, it's disingenuous. Again, I'm happy to inform you that even though I met an organization with 17 million CD debt for 2021, Sammi Awuku, through together with his management and the backing of my board, I turned this loss-making entity within a year to make profit of 2.5 million cedis profit in 2022. In 2023, I made 2.7 million profit in spite of all the good causes and all that we did. Right. And then in 2024, they finished with the audited financial, audited financial stuff. It's somewhere in March, April. I wasn't there. I left NLA in January. And I'm happy to also hear and know that the NLA made profit of 10 million cedis.
Right. And that assertion you have made, the executive director for Media Foundation for West Africa says that, look, you were brought into office to make profits for the organization. But Sammi, I want to find out.
If I was brought into office to make profit for the organization, it's instructive to know that in that same post of the executive director for Media Foundation for West Africa, he said I left the organization in a worse state, but that statement he made is not supported by the audited financial statement.
Right.
So that is palpable false, because you can only know the health of an institution or organization through the audited financial statement. So if the audited financial statement, by the time I was leaving, NLA had honored its statutory obligation, staff welfare matters, none was in arrears when I was leaving. Their SNET and all that were up to date when I was leaving. I had not tied the organization to any external liabilities nor contracted loans. And every staff at the NLA received an upgrade and salary increment ×2. During Sammi Awuku's tenure.
Right.
The least paid person when I got to the NLA was taking 700 cedis. And these were the cleaners and the ground operators. When I was leaving the NLA, this least paid person was taking about 2,000 cedis. So you can't say I left the staff worse off and I left the organization worse. It's not supported by facts.
I think the audit reports would have to prove that. But let's go on. Besides this high-profile events that was enumerated by the Fourth Estate, they also mentioned that some of the funds also went into your later constituency or political areas. Now, Sammi, how do you respond to people who feel that you may have been politicizing the public resource and favoring certain areas for political benefit?
If you embark on, let's say, about 200 projects or more, 200 projects or more, and you as the head of entity, 2 out of the 200 or 400 projects goes to where you are coming from, how is that an error? Are they not Ghanaians? Don't they participate in your lottery? Because their kinsman is head of that institution, they should not reap the benefits of good causes. I don't have a relation in Zabzugu, but we built a toilet facility for them. I don't have a relation in Garu, but we touch lives there by providing social amenities. The same as in Efijase, the same as in Esikado, and across the country. I don't come from Kolewoko, but we did medical outreaches there. So why are you excluding my people? What wrong did they commit? The only wrong is that somebody from their area becomes Director General. For this, I owe no apology. And I think that is a tragedy. For the mindset of people to be prepared along the line that because their kinsman was Director General, not even a pure water bottle should go there. That is unfair. When we're sponsoring Hogbechocho, when we're sponsoring Fitua Fashe, if you sponsor Udra, Akuapem Udra, then what is wrong? Is it not a traditional festival? So that I find very sad and tragic. But as if I knew this was going to be their position someday. The AstroTurf that was constructed by the NLA, my constituency, I insisted, even though they completed last year, you can ask Wembley Sports, even though it was completed last year, I insisted that it would never be commissioned until after elections. So there was no commissioning for it to yield any political dividend for me. And these are matters of records. Yeah, it's still there. It's inside the belly of the Presbyterian College of Education. It hasn't still been commissioned. Because I didn't want a situation where somebody will say, you built it to woo voters or to win vote.
Right, Sammi, many thanks for your time. That's all time would allow us here on the Asaase Breakfast Show. Always grateful, and it's always a pleasure to speak to you.
And always a pleasure. And let me also commend you for your professionalism and diligence. And also, I think that I have some few images of some of the projects, not all, some of the projects that the Good Causes Foundation did. And I'm going to push it to your production team so that the benefits of your...
Well, we already had those projects. And before we spoke to you, we brought our listeners up to speed with that.
Oh, I see. That means I'm late in the day.
Yeah,
thank you,
to the party.
for reminding me. I didn't know that you were a shadow director general when I was there. Thank you.
Right, Sammi, thank you so much for making time to speak to us.
Thank you for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.